October of 1992, Richard Sabb was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer and told he had 6 months to live. Well, you do the math, you'll know that 9 years is a lot longer than 6 months. I mention this because Richard Sabb is now my guest, as well as the author of what he said to the doctor, I guess, or to himself, when he was told he had 6 months to live. I have no time to die.
That's true.
Did you say that with great bravado, or were you quaking in your shoes? I mean, that's a hell of a
I would
guy.
have to say it was
you were a young guy. How old were you then?
At the time, I was 32. 30.
Okay.
I was 30.
Now,
I had to do the math.
You have to do the math. I could have done that for you. I have a pen. Now, how did this all come about? There was an accident that got this thing rolling?
Yes, about 6 years earlier, I was involved in an industrial accident here in New Jersey. And basically, I received quite a few chemical burns throughout the lower part of my body. And after a little gestation period, the cancer evolved. And quite ironically, or I actually shouldn't say ironically, but it evolved actually on the burn sites.
So that gave you a clue?
Believe it or not, not initially.
Really?
Not initially. The way the cancer first showed itself, it really showed itself as a mild rash, and initially we really had no clue that it was as bad as it turned out to be.
Well, who made the diagnosis then?
The first doctor to make the diagnosis was Dr. Arthur Bernkran out of Freehold, New Jersey. And that was largely based on the fact that just weeks prior, he was at a medical symposium by Dr. Eric von der Heide at Hahnemann University in Pennsylvania. And it really was strictly an accidental diagnosis. Professor Lambert here in New Jersey is the one who did all the follow-up testing.
We'll get to meet him a little bit later on.
Yes, he is here with us.
Now, okay, now you're diagnosed as having terminal cancer.
That's correct.
6 months to live. Where do you turn?
Well, initially, I was turning to, if you will, reality. You know, do I just go out and have fun?
Right.
And live life to its fullest for whatever time.
However long you have, yeah.
That's right. But I also, within the parameters of reality, I decided that it would be best to follow Dr. Bernkran's orders and contact people like Dr. von der Heide and Dr. Lambert and just see if there was something that they could do for me.
Now, this is a very rare type of cancer?
Yes, it is. It's seen a lot more as the years have gone on, but when I was diagnosed in 1992, the likelihood of properly being diagnosed was very slim.
Now, where does the subtitle of your book is Surviving Cancer and America's Failing Justice System. You're also involved not only in taking care of your physical health, but in legal battles.
That's correct. I was involved in 3 legal battles. I had to go through, basically a trial with workers' compensation.
Yeah.
Then I ended up in Social Security court, and then I also had to go through a civil action based on the fact that the accident happened at my place of work.
Now, your employer at the time denied that there had been an accident and got rid of the machine that caused it?
Yes, they
Said
did.
it didn't exist? In other words, they denied that the whole thing happened?
That's correct. That's correct. And from there, people have natural instincts to do the right thing. And it's very easy for 1 or 2 people to lie, but when you put things in a group situation like this, give it a little time and some people are going to start coming forward.
The more people who know a secret, the less likely it is to remain a secret.
That is correct.
So what, fellow employees, people you had worked with at that time, started to come forward and say, hey, hold the phone, there was an accident, there was this kind of an accident?
Oh, absolutely. And quite frankly, the key evidence to the case, I really never had. It showed up on my doorstep one day. I mean, I really don't know where even some of the key evidence came from.
Somebody just sent it over to your house? Literally?
Oh, literally, meaning...
In a package?
Literally, a person left the box on my doorstep, and then I guess as they left, either threw a rock or a ball at the house.
Hey, wake up, right?
And, got us to the front door. And some surprises were in that box.
Now, to double back, Richard, over these 9 years or so since this diagnosis, how many surgical procedures have you gone through?
I believe it's 11 now.
11.
I believe.
And other kinds of treatment?
I basically do chemotherapy combined with radiation therapy. And even at this point in time now, I own my own radiation machine at my own home, so I can give myself treatments 2 and 3 times a week.
Recommended by a doctor. I mean, you just
Yes,
decide 2 or 3 or 4 times a week is the right number.
Absolutely not. Definitely under the control of my doctors.
And it's the proper dosage, folks, because we turn the lights out. He does not glow. You look terrific.
Thank you. It's really.
I mean, did you go through a period where you lost a lot of weight, you looked lousy, and you thought to yourself, well, maybe I'm not going to make it?
In the beginning, my wife at the time was the one who actually noticed that something was wrong with me and I was losing weight. And she basically forced me to go to the doctor because I really hate doctors and hospitals and
not
things
anymore.
Like that. Not anymore. Now they're my best friends.
Now, because you were kind of a bodybuilder. I'm not going to show the pictures in the book of Richard's lesions and his disease and one thing or another, because a lot of it was on the surface. You could see what was wrong. But this is this guy before he got ill. Oh, you're not training as much anymore, Richard.
No. At that stage of the game, I was a power lifter at the time, or at least trying to become one.
Now, a lot of people have read lately, talking about Darryl Strawberry in particular, how ill he gets from his chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go through that as well? Do you still?
Well, in the beginning, I really did. When I was doing 4 treatments per week and combining quite a few medicines at the time, yes, that was a very difficult point. Over the years, though, I must say that my body has basically gotten used to it. Also, over the years, the drugs have gotten considerably better that are coming out. I mean, the pharmaceutical companies have done a wonderful job when it comes to cancer patients. And realistically, I've learned to control my diet now to my treatments. For example, I'm certainly not going to have a hot bowl of soup before doing chemotherapy. You'll spend a good amount of time in the bathroom.
Having the carpets cleaned, right? Again, talking about the Sopranos as we were before, that seems to be their disease of the month, and Uncle June is really having a little bit of trouble with his chemo.
Yes, he is, and judging by the type...
Now, is that author's license, or to make it more dramatic on the show, or do people really suffer that much from it?
No, there's no author's license in there whatsoever. When you take chemotherapies like alpha interferon and gamma ray, these are tough therapies. The therapy that I'm on now is considerably better. My body is definitely well used to it, but people suffer. It's not an easy thing to do at any age.
We're going to take a little break on that note, and when we continue, we'll be joined by one of Richard's physicians, Dr. W. Clark Lambert. I'm talking with Richard Sabb, who has written a book and says he has no time to die, which is the title of the book. And joining us now is Dr. W. Clark Lambert, who Richard says in his book, he kept me alive. Good trick, Doc.
Well, we try.
How'd you do that?
We worked at it. We really worked at it pretty hard.
Now, were there treatments that you were aware of or that were still experimental that you tried on Richard that other doctors either didn't know about or were not willing to use?
It was more
a matter. We're going back about 8 or 9 years.
It was more a matter of tailor-making a special regimen for Richard. Yeah. We knew the history. We knew he had had an industrial exposure, which we believe probably caused the whole problem. Yeah. And we knew he had his odd predilection that the tumors would come up and be most prominent in exactly those areas of contact, and that other areas, although some involved, were much less involved.
Were they from chemical burns? I mean, when you had the accident, Richard, did you have burns on your body? Was the skin ruptured and lacerated?
Actually, yes, I did. The burns, of course, varied. I mean, some of the ones that were on my legs were very mild, just basically severe redness of the skin. When you speak of an area, for example, like my right hip, now this is an area that was definitely, burned at a greater degree.
Now, Dr. Lambert, were you aware of the chemicals that were involved in the accident, and is that what got you started in the right direction?
We knew something about them.
Yeah.
The number of cases of his type of cancer that are definitely known to be caused by chemical exposures are so small